Good Monday afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another video. As you see, I'm down at my library, and with it being 2 days left in February, that means I got yet another book haul. So I took it easy this month, but I do regret going last Sunday because I got quite a few books. I just couldn't help myself, so I got a couple books from Amazon, and the rest are from Barnes & Noble. So let's get this video started with what I got from Amazon. I got 2 books here. First one I'd like to show is Bad Astronauts by Grady Hendrix. And this is like a really far backlist book for him. It's one of his only sci-fi novellas. And I'm going to read the back. Melville, South Carolina was out of money. It was out of jobs. It was out of hope. And today it was out of astronauts. There were only 2 to begin with, and now one is stuck on the abandoned International Space Station after his mission went south. With NASA's budget cut to the bone, there's no one to bring him back home, so everyone is only too happy to ignore this embarrassing sign of American failure and just let him die. But his cousin, Walter Reddy, isn't going to let that happen. Tanked on vodka, living on a farm whose only crop is cars on cinder blocks, Walter's a washed out from the shuttle program, and he'll be damned if he's going to let his cousin die in the sky like a dog. And so he begins to build a rocket. If America won't rescue its astronauts, he'll do it himself. Violating numerous laws, good taste, common sense, logic, and reason, Walter becomes a lightning rod for people who aren't ready to give up. His farm is transformed into the promised land for misfits, drifters, rocket junkies, pyromaniacs, dreamers, science nerds, and astro hippies who believe that space shouldn't just be for billionaires. But it won't be easy. Chances are good they'll blow themselves up, get arrested, or kill each other before they ever get into orbit. So, yeah, this is a far cry from what Grady Hendrix usually writes, and it's mostly horror. So this one sounded interesting, and it's only 160 pages. So it's not too long. That is Bad Astronauts. That next book I want to show off is a brand new release that came out a couple weeks ago, and it is Don't Fear the Reaper by Stephen Graham Jones. Pull this a little closer. There we go. And this is the much-awaited sequel to My Heart is a Chainsaw, which I haven't read yet, but that was featured in my author spotlight video. So, yeah. I'll see what this is about if I do get through My Heart is a Chainsaw. But it's basically about like this girl obsessed with 80s horror movies. And I believe that a killer is on the loose on her reservation, not plantation. But yeah, that was Don't Fear the Reaper. And I heard that this is going to be a trilogy as well, so we'll see when the 3rd book comes out. But it's rather thick, so we'll see what happens there. So those were the 2 books I got on Amazon. The rest are from Barnes & Noble. And I do have quite a variety to show you. Starting with one of the bigger books I ever gotten in a while. And I really pondered on this. The Terror by Dan Simmons. And That's a big honker, but this is based on real events about like a crew in Antarctica in like the 1800s, and they get lost and they're hunted by some kind of creature. Heard this is a very, very good novel, very creepy, but it's historical fiction and it's rather long, so I'll have to be in the mood to read this. But I got good hopes for it. That was The Terror by Dan Simmons. Next is a book that might be way out of my comfort zone, but this book reminded me of like my best friend's exorcism, but with moms. Suburban Hell by Maureen Kilmer. And this is just like this is about like a group of 4 moms and one of them gets possessed. That's all I know about it. But it sounds pretty interesting, and it definitely reminds me of my best friend's exorcism. Suburban Hell. Next is going to be The Twisted Dead by Darcy Coates, the 3rd book in the Gatekeeper series, which you did see this book in my author spotlight video, so I'm hoping to get to this year, but I did collect it in February. That was The Twisted Dead. Next is going to be another historical fiction novel, and that is The Hunger by Alma Katsu. And this is based around the Donner Party, which happened in the 1840s, I want to say. And it was this group of people who, I want to say, like, went to California, and they got, like, stuck in, like, brutal winters, and they started eating each other to stay alive. So I've heard quite a few good things about this one. It's not as big as The Terror, but I'm willing to give this a shot. The Hunger by Alma Katsu. And Stephen King says it's deeply, deeply disturbing. So yeah. And the next 5 books I got were from last Sunday. Some of them are brand new, and others are backlist. So let's see what they are, shall we? The first one is All Hallows by Christopher Golden. And all I know is that this takes place around Halloween in the 80s. But I'm going to read the synopsis here. It's Halloween night, 1984, in Coventry, Massachusetts, and 2 families are unraveling. Up and down the street, secrets are being revealed, and all the while mixed in with the trick-or-treaters of all ages. 4 children who do not belong are walking door to door, merging with the kids of Parmenter Road. Children in vintage costumes with faded, eerie makeup. They seem terrified, and they beg the neighborhood kids to hide them away, to keep them safe from the cunning man. There's a small clearing in the woods now that was never there before, and a blackthorn tree that doesn't belong at all. These odd children claim that the cunning man is coming for them, and they want the local kids to protect them, but with families falling apart and the neighborhood splintered by bitterness, who will save the children of Parmenter Road? All Hallows, the one night when everything is a mask. So this one sounded interesting. I think this one came out in January, so I picked it up on a whim. That was All Hallows by Christopher Golden. Next, it's going to be a book that don't even come out till technically tomorrow, but Barnes & Noble had it early. The Angel Maker by Alex North. And this is the same author of The Whisper Man and The Shadows. And I did read The Shadows last year, and I really did enjoy it, but I never did get to The Whisper Man yet. But I'm going to read the synopsis for this as well. Growing up in a beautiful house in the English countryside, Katie Shaw led the charmed life. At the cusp of graduation, she had big dreams, a devoted boyfriend, and a little brother she protected fiercely, until the day a violent stranger changed the fate of her family forever. Years later, still unable to live down the guilt surrounding what happened to her brother, Chris, and now with a child of her own to protect, Katie struggles to separate the real threats from the imagined. But she gets the phone call. Chris has gone missing and needs his big sister once more. Meanwhile, Detective Lawrence Page is facing a particularly gruesome crime. A distinguished professor of fate and free will has been brutally murdered just hours after firing his staff. All the leads point back to two old cases: a gruesome attack on teenager Christopher Shaw and the despicable crimes of a notorious serial killer who, legend had it, could see the future. So yeah, sounds pretty solid. I'll give it a whirl one of these days. The Angel Maker. I have 3 more books left, and this next one I just picked up on a whim. And that is Black Panther, Panther's Rage. This is by Cherie Renee Thomas. And this is technically a T'Challa story. And he takes like this girl who's been on drugs to Wakanda to get her life back together. Haven't read anything like this before, but this is one of the first times I've ever heard that Marvel even made novels. And I mean, this isn't a graphic novel. I mean, it's just got words and no pictures. Darn it. But this one sounded intriguing, and one of these days I'll get to it. And the back says, Wakanda's Mightiest King returns in this adaptation of the landmark comic series by Don McGregor, Rich Buckler, and Billy Graham. So yeah, I definitely snagged this out of curiosity. Next, it's going to be Books of Blood, Volumes 1 through 3. And I do have the first volume on its lonesome. I did not know that the first volume didn't collect books 2 and 3. And there's really like 6 books of blood. So, whenever the time comes, I'll also get 4 through 6. But, this is a collection of like short stories by Clive Barker. And, it collects... Okay, here we go. Volume 1 collects The Book of Blood, The Midnight Meat Train, which is one that I'm definitely looking forward to getting to. The Yattering and Jack, Pig Blood Blues, Sex, Death, and Starshine, In the Hills, The Cities. And that's Volume 1. Volume 2 collects Dread, Hell's Event, Jacqueline S., Her Will and Testament, The Skins of the Fathers, New Murders in the Rue Morgue. So that's 5 stories. And Volume 1 collects 6 stories, so 11. Volume 3 collects Son of Celluloid, Rawhead Rex, Confessions of a Pornographer's Shroud, Scapegoats, and Human Remains. So this collects 16 stories, and it is rather lengthy, but it's 3 books in one, so I definitely want to give this a try throughout the year, hopefully. Unfortunately, this is the one that doesn't collect the story behind Candyman. That's going to be in the next volume. So this will be a way to get more into Clive Barker. Because I only read The Hellbound Heart last year. That was actually a reread for me, and I enjoyed it more. But this is just a variety of stuff. And the final book I want to show off is No One Gets Out Alive by Adam Neville. And I'm going to read the back of this. Stephanie moves to a notoriously cheap neighborhood of Birmingham. She's happy to find an affordable room for rent that's just large enough not to deserve her previous room's nickname, The Cell. The eccentric, albeit slightly overly friendly landlord seems nice and welcoming. The ceilings are high, and all the other tenants are also girls. Things aren't great, but they're stable. Or at least that's what she tells herself when she impulsively hands over the money to cover the first month's rent and decides to give it a go. But soon after she becomes uneasy about her rash decision, she hears things in the night, feels them, things, or people who aren't there in the light, who couldn't be there because, after all, her door is locked every night and the key is still in place in the morning. Concern soon turns to terror when the voices she hears and presence she feels each night become hostile. It's clear that something very bad has happened in this house, and something even worse is happening now. Stephanie has to find a way out before whatever is going on in the house finds her first. No One Gets Out Alive will chill you straight through to the core. A cold, merciless, fear-inducing nightmare to the last page. Word of caution, don't read this one in the dark. So this is actually a Netflix movie, and sounds pretty creepy, and I'm willing to give it a shot. It's another lengthy one. I mean, this one goes for 628 pages. So, yeah, I got some big ones this month. And that marks yet another book haul. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And look forward to my movies that I watched in February coming tomorrow. And I'll also have a review on Creed 3 Friday. So, not as much coming up. But March, we got quite a bit coming out. So when I film my Creed 3 review, I'll get more into detail about what is to come. So look out for more videos, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Adios. Peace.